I am trying to figure out how to get the YouTube chat. uh, if I can do that without just having the stream running. I guess I can probably just pull up the actual stream and then pause the stream. Is this working? I'm not getting the stream on YouTube. Oh, okay, now I am. Okay. Still kind of figuring out how to do anything. What's up, Salty Horse? What's up, Lowen? Isn't Hyperdemon basically already Devil Daggers 2? There has been some discourse about this. Okay, I'm getting more people in YouTube than I expected, and this is a problem because I now have two different chats to look at. Because I'm also getting people on Twitch. What's up, Monkey? Yeah, okay. So I'm just testing out the YouTube stream. I think I probably will end up doing the multi-stream, and for now at least, because I just have people in both on both that want to watch. Like, I kind of hate having the chat split up, but since I'm gonna have the big chat on the screen, right? So I'm just gonna, for next time, I'll just figure out how to get the chats combined on the screen, and then everybody can hopefully look at that and not complain too much. Yeah, there's been discourse about, and let me pull up the Hyperdemon, not Hyperdemon, Devil Daggers 2. I didn't look at it very closely. I wanted to see, like, we got to go straight to the source. Here's the source. Yeah, I didn't look at it very closely. I wanted to really like see what we could speculate about here, right? Like, sometimes there's little hints in these, even the most minimal like announcement, right? Like, this is pretty minimal though. I don't know if I can really pull anything out of this. A huge thank you to the 350,000 plus people who played Devil Dead. That's really a lot of people. um Yo, I'm one of the 1,472 who reached 500 seconds. Shout out to me. Anyone else in the chat? Any other 500 chads in the chat? Um, Yo, Misa, thanks for the resub. Uh, Thanks, Mancha. What's up, Gosu? Sausage no more. Yeah, I'm thinking about changing the Twitch username as well, because you can do that. You can change your Twitch username once every 60 days or something. So since this is obviously more in line with the stuff that I'm doing under my real name in other places on the internet, I kind of feel like I should change it. I could also just make a new Twitch channel, but like so many people already follow me here, and I already have like so much set up on this channel. Like, it feels stupid to do that. Um, yeah, you can combine the messages in the stream view. Um, okay, what can we speculate here? I mean, this is just the same. The dagger looks the same as it does in the regular game, and then we've got like crosses with stakes on them, kind of kind of rows of crosses with. Oh, you can't see my oh no, you can. Kind of arcs, concentric arcs of crosses with stakes on them. I don't know what I can pull out of this, man. Devil Daggers 2. We got the. This seems to be the trend, right? Doesn't Hades 2 use the like Roman numeral 2? Anyway, I don't know what I thought I was gonna pull out of this. This is like nothing. This is literally nothing. I mean, what I am thinking, what comes to mind because I've been playing so much caramel action, right? I've been playing. Well, actually, let me show you. Let me play my new PB in caramel action. Um, at some point in this game, when enemies die, like a little cross, I guess like a grave, like a little cross on it appears. There you go. There's the first one. And so that's what it makes me think of. Like, uh, Devil Daggers 2 is gonna have revenge. This is like revenge bullets, but like instead of bullets, it's like okay, this is a huge stretch, but mechanically, it's kind of like revenge bullets, right? Like you kill enemies and then like something shitty starts to happen. But you know, it doesn't happen until you've killed quite a few enemies, and then it's just a permanent, you know, it's like the Spelunky ghost, right? It's like trying to get you to move on. It's trying to push you out of the level. But yeah, the invincible ghost starts chasing you around. Yeah, but it's obviously a stretch. It's just because this is what I've been playing. That's what the crosses made me think of. But oh, you can't even see the footage. Dude, I need to learn how to stream if I'm gonna be doing this shit. Clambering. Thanks for the 12 months, Sigma. Yo, Don. Don, have you been playing this? Let me. Oh wait, I minimized the wrong thing. Seriously, do not know how to stream. Sorry. Yeah, this is my my caramel action PB as of last night. So I've gotten to level 2-5, which by the way, I love the length of the run. It's like, I don't know, less than 10 minutes if you're gonna do 2 loops, which seemingly no one has done yet. Seemingly I've gotten farther than anyone else yet by getting to 2-5. It took me a while to get past like 2-1 and 2-2. I feel like it kind of gets easier. Let me skip to the second loop. But yeah, I'll talk more about. I'm not gonna talk about this game a lot today. I'll talk about it more when I'm a little more finished with it. But I'm really enjoying this game. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to most people. It's really hard, and it's largely, the problem is it's largely hard for the wrong reasons. Like, there's just a lot of really precise moves that you have to do. Like, there's constant precision checks that don't really need to be there. That's kind of my main thing about this game that stops me from recommending it to more people, because, you know, it's kind of like a. So this is made by Bog Hog, who, if you are into action games, you might know about Bog Hog and his writing and stuff. He's obviously really into beat 'em ups, and this is very much like beat 'em ups, where the appeal is there's a lot going on, but the core appeal is kind of like high speed chess, right? Like you're projecting, you're seeing all of this stuff on the screen, and you have to like understand how these enemies can move and how they can checkmate you in a million different ways, and, you know, move in such a way that you're anticipating and accounting for all of those different possible checkmates. And so, like, it's, first of all, that makes it very hard to convey what makes this game awesome, because, like, it's all happening in your head. Like, I'm imagining when I'm playing this game, like, I don't know, this game, more so than most games like this, there is obviously a lot of stuff happening on the screen that's crazy. Like, it looks crazy to watch, more so than a lot of, like, beat 'em ups or whatever, but there's also just so much more that's happening in my head when I'm playing this, because, yeah, it's all about anticipating the different scenarios. Most of what I'm thinking about, you never actually see, right? It's very, very Cinco Pause like in that way. But yeah, this game's awesome. But yeah, these few stages right here, this is why I skipped ahead. So this is 2-4. Yeah, so like 2-1 and 2-2, I feel like 2-1 might be the hardest level in the first two loops, which is just funny. Like you get through the first loop and then you immediately get completely blasted. Like it's just so much harder. Like it's harder to get through just 2-1 than the entire first loop combined, I'm pretty sure. Even if you have full resources, I'm pretty sure it's harder. And then 2-2 is, I think, is also pretty hard. And then I feel like it gets a lot easier for 2-3 and 2-4. But then 2-5 is also just fucked. Like 2-5 is... I think 1-5 is maybe the hardest in the first loop. So maybe no surprise, but yeah. These are not that bad. This is not that bad if you just use bombs. You use the thrown bombs. I don't really know what to call them because there's like two different types of bombs in this game. But yeah, use the thrown bombs to take out the turrets, and then this level is really not that bad. Like, I totally messed up here. Like, I go down to get this. I don't know what to call this thing either. It also looks like a bomb. The gold things that you have to pick up. I just totally missed it. Like, I stepped down into that little hallway to get it, and then I just totally missed it, and I had to use one of my other bombs there. But yeah, then 2-5, this floor is so cursed. Like, I practiced it for like a few hours this morning. It's wild. But yeah, that was my best score by quite a bit. But you can see my entire, right? You can see my entire leaderboard is 2-1 and 2-2 deaths. But yeah, really, really fun game. Second loop is so cursed. Haven't played it, should I? You absolutely should. Yeah, anyone, okay, so I hesitate to recommend this to most people, but anyone who really likes Angel Game and really likes Post Void, you have to play this. Caramel Action Micro is what it's called. I've been really loving it. I'm trying to get the first two all, and I guess the first 25k and the first maybe 30k. I don't know if 30k seems kind of harder than the two all maybe. You're ascending a stack of pancakes. I guess it's caramels. I don't really know. I guess it is. It's like, I don't know. I genuinely do not know what the things. I mean, it's called caramel action, so surely something in this game is supposed to be a caramel. What does a caramel look like? Yeah, I mean the sauce, I guess. The sauce on top of the stack looks very caramel. These explosions look so much bigger in this frame than they do in the game. Are they really that big? I guess it's because the screen is frozen. Yeah, it's pretty quick, and then like the action is frozen, so it doesn't like interfere with your vision at all. Can't see again. Classic. just looking at the caramel. Anyway, back to Devil Daggers. There's just so many things that this could really be, right? Like this could obviously just be a different spawn set. This could just be Devil Daggers, but a different spawn set. Let me respond to the. Let's respond to the Hyper Demon is Devil Daggers 2 part of the discourse, because I really think it's not. I think it's like gameplay wise, it is so distinct that I really don't think it's fair to do that. Like you can say it's a spiritual successor, right? Like the same way that you could say like Shadow of the Colossus is a spiritual successor to Eco. But yeah, I mean the structure of the run is totally different. The enemies are totally different. There's a lot of mechanics that are different. The movement is, I mean, there's a little bit of overlap in the movement, but like, pick any two first-person shooters, and they're probably not going to be as different as Devil Daggers and Hyper Demon are from each other, all right? Like, they're both arcadey, but like the structure is really, really different. But yeah, I'm curious. I kind of feel like it's a recession indicator, right? That there's so many we're getting so many like sequels and developers like following up their most successful game, right? Like this is like Devil Daggers was more successful financially than Hyper Demon. More people know about Devil Daggers than Hyper Demon. So like, you know, Devil Daggers 2 is kind of the safest thing that they could do, right? Um, and similarly, like we have Michael Bro doing 868 back. He's not doing Syncopause 2. He's not doing like another new idea after like all of his 1 million new ideas. Like he's doing 868. He's doing a sequel to 868 Hack, which is his biggest hit. You know, most people still don't know about it, but it's his biggest hit. Which I'm not like disappointed about 868 Hack. I'm not necessarily disappointed about any of this stuff, but like 868 Hack, I'm actually very excited for 868 back because I feel like there's a lot of obvious potential for that game to be improved in the context. I mean, not obvious, only obvious in hindsight, right? Like it wasn't obvious at the time that 868 Hack came out. Like at the time that 868 Hack came out, it was a revolution in, you know, strategy roguelikes. Like that game was incredibly forward thinking. But then Syncopause came along and was, you know, took the framework and was even more like unbelievably forward thinking. Like that game is like probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that game is like 200 years ahead of its time. Or like I wouldn't be surprised if like people don't understand like, yeah, like maybe I would not be surprised if like 1,000 years from now, when after civilization collapses and reforms and we like we're not even living in America anymore, you know, our life now is like how we think of like ancient Greece and Rome and stuff. When we're in that future society, maybe people will will start to have the taste and understand what's great about Syncopause. That's how highly I think of that game. It's just amazing. But anyway, 868 Hack. Yeah, so like with the ideas that he developed in Syncopause, I feel like he can really level up 868 Hack. I can see a lot of the potential there and how it can be a lot better. And apparently there's a lot of new ideas that will be totally unexpected. So that's cool. But there is something to be said about the fact that everyone is doing these, you know, all of the cool indie developers are doing these kind of safe sequels. So like Zachtronics, like they've been struggling to make money with their past few releases, and so they're doing Opus Magnum DLC, right? Like, I mean, there's also the I'm talking mainly about the like what I think of as the cool experimental, like the really experimental, and in terms of game design, like indies, like Michael Bro and Matt Bush, who does Devil Daggers and stuff, and like Zach Barth, who does the Zachtronics games. But of course, we're also getting a lot of other indie sequels. We're getting like Hades 2 and Slay the Spire 2 and all kinds of stuff. Which, by the way, I wanted to look at that a little more closely as well. There was like a new trailer for Slay the Spire 2. Let's react. Oops. I didn't get as into Slay the Spire 1 as most people did, but I played a good bit of it. I played maybe like 40 hours or something. I got like, you know, several ascensions in with all the different characters. I didn't play it in early access, so like I think Slay the Spire 1 was early access. Like I don't know how it evolved over time. I played it when it was like complete. But yeah, so I'm curious how how Slay the Spire 2 is gonna evolve from early access, if it's just like, you know, balancing stuff, or if they plan to add more characters later and things like that. But yeah, Slay the Spire 1 for me, I think it's a really good game, and I love how it takes the deck building thing and like integrates it into the actual run, right? Like that's like just such an obviously genius thing that game does. And um yeah, I feel like I kind of didn't finish that thought about the it's yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's just it does seem like they kind of need to make some money, right? It seems like they kind of need to make some money. But yeah, Slay the Spire 2, let's check this out. I don't really know if it's it seems like I don't really know how it could be as like groundbreaking, you know, as fresh as Slay the Spire 1, but maybe you don't need that. Maybe there's a lot of room for. Oh, you guys probably don't have the audio for this, do you? Oh, you do. But maybe it's kind of loud. I don't really know enough about Slay the Spire lore to to pick apart that. I remember that this is the Silent that we're looking at. I don't really watch trailers a lot. So when I watch trailers, I always feel like I'm supposed to. There's just a particular thing that trailers do where, like, you know, the character that you love enters in a particular way, and you're just supposed to soy face, and you know, I'm supposed to be pogging right now that I'm seeing all the characters that I recognize. But like I don't know, man. I don't recognize that guy, but I guess that's the new character. There's like a necromancer, I think. Presumably that's what we're looking at here. You kind of have to, like, if you want to figure out anything about the gameplay, you really have to like pause these things. Okay, I didn't realize it. Does Slay the Spire 1 have this? Like drawing on, I guess maybe that's what they're showing as a feature here. Slay the Spire 1 I do not think had this, but that's a really good feature, like drawing on the map to plan out your route. Yeah, someone who like knows all the cards could really. Okay, so wait, who is this guy? Because I kind of thought this was a character, but maybe this is. Oh right, this is showing the co-op. So there's up to 4-player co-op in this game, which I have no idea how that's how that's gonna work. But I guess that's cool. Yeah. I mean, co-op is just something that you can add to your game and get free points, right? Like you just get free review score. Like it doesn't have to be that good. The co-op doesn't have to be that like essential to the game, right? Like you can kind of just add it, and you know, the bar for co-op games is just kind of low, right? Like you can just add co-op to your game, and all the people who are really looking for a good co-op game are just really happy. But this is such a deep autism game that, like, you know, you play this for 100 hours. 100 is an understatement. You play this for 500 hours, right? Some people do, at least, if you get really into it. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's fine. I'm curious. I'm curious how the co-op will fit into the structure of the game, because obviously some people are going to be way better at the game than others. There are some people who are going to have way more unlocked and like be on a higher ascension level, and so how is it going to automatically say what ascension that you should run together because of what ascension you've unlocked separately? Like that's kind of a tricky design problem, maybe, but yeah, monkey. Yeah, you know about that from Baby Steps. But yeah, I think it's cool. If it works well, it's cool. Wait, there's new options. There's new options at the sleepy time. So before it was just rest and smith, right? Mend, is that what it says? Can I go back here? Mend. Okay, so mend is different from rest. That's strange. Clone. I guess clone is like when you copy a card. This was something like this was in the original game, right? Does anyone here know this this game? Anyone here know anything about this? Okay, I think you picked clone and you got a bunch of clones of that card, maybe? I don't know. This doesn't look. Not seeing anything new here. What is this X? Not seeing anything particularly new there. everyone has to like settle it in co-op by pointing. That's pretty funny. Yeah, so I guess there's 5 characters now. Wait. This could be interesting. full of cheese. I don't know. I never. So my main problem with Slay the Spire, right, is just that I have played a lot of games that are about synergies, about finding the synergies, right? I've played a lot of games like that, and there's a lot of other stuff that becomes relevant to the strategy and stuff once you get really deep into the game. But I've also played a lot of strategy games where you get really deep and that kind of stuff becomes relevant, like Syncopause. Um, so yeah, I didn't really care enough to get really really deep. I realized recently like how relevant it is to my lack of love for Slay the Spire. I like the game, but I don't love it, I would say. And I realized that the relevant thing recently that I played like hundreds at least of hours of like semi-competitive Yu-Gi-Oh and like a bit of like Magic the Gathering and stuff like that. Like I played a good bit of those like card games that are very much like, I mean, it's obviously taking inspiration from that kind of stuff. And I like what it's doing with the deck, integrating the deck thing into the actual game loop like I said. But just in terms of like how much I care about spending hundreds of hours finding the synergies and learning about all the different synergies and stuff like that, like it's kind of the same thing that I've experienced a lot when I was like 10 years old and played those games a lot, right? So yeah, I'm trying these days I'm trying to be more aware of the ways that I personally might not be crazy about a game, even if the game is really good, right? And so yeah, I think Slay the Spire is a really good game. It's just not necessarily a blindingly original game. Uh but this thing right here where it's like here's an event and like you make the decision, like I don't know how essential this ever felt to me. It didn't. I guess it's just in there for a little bit of pacing or variety or whatever. But yeah, when these things happened in Slay the Spire 1, I never really felt like they were super interesting. Or like yeah, just not connected enough, not connected deeply enough to the main appeal of the game, I guess. Or like the main decision making loop. Often the choices felt kind of obvious for what I was doing. Yeah, like it's just a very simple binary decision, right? And it's like two totally different things, so usually one is going to be better for for what's going on. Whereas like I don't know. I mean, I guess it's only the decisions are at least the way they're presented, they're pretty simple even when you're choosing like a new card to add to your deck, but that's obviously a very deep decision. But yeah, something about this, I'm not really sure why, but this never seemed as essential to me as the other parts of the game. I'm curious if hardcore Slay the Spire players would feel the same way or understand where I'm coming from with that, or if I just didn't get deep enough or what. Terror eel. Another thing that I'm kind of maybe somewhat anticipating about this game is that it kind of does a Spelunky 2 thing where it just has a real semi spoilers for Spelunky 2, I guess. But like Spelunky 2 actually takes inspiration from Syncopause. I don't think very many people know this. But it very obviously takes inspiration from Syncopause with the late game, the final ultimate giant challenge in the run, right? Where you do like 99 rooms. And I think it really fails to make that as varied and interesting as it needs to be, which Syncopause I obviously think does not does not fail at that. But I think it's cool that it's like that long and crazy, right? I think it takes explicit inspiration because Derek, you played the game, and I mean maybe not from Syncopause specifically, but from like bro likes generally, right? Um, yeah, Derek, you I know has talked about the game and everything, but yeah, Syncopause came out only a couple years before Spelunky 2, so maybe the idea was in place from like 868 hack inspiration or something like that. But yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if it didn't come from that. I don't know if he said explicitly that it was inspired by that, but it really seems that way to me. But damn, this has a million views already. This came out this dropped 2 days ago. This game was just massive, man. But yeah, like Spelunky 2 just has this crazy structure, right? Where it goes on, a run. Once you get deep enough into the game, the runs get really long. And like Slay the Spire is already like, an hour or more for a run. Maybe very high level people deliberate for a really long time because it gets really complicated or whatever, the things you have to consider. I'm not really sure. But um yeah, I'm curious if Slay the Spire 2 is going to do the Spelunky 2 thing where it just goes way longer. Like, I, I kind of, I kind of love that. I mean, I don't want every game to do it because not every game can earn it, right? But obviously, I love Syncopause, and that game, you know, a normal full run of Syncopause is like 8 hours or something. Maybe my world record run was like 30 hours of gameplay, and especially for a game that's not like action based. It's like a, turn based or whatever. Um, I think you can do that. You can like have reasonable stopping points where like you can close the run and come back come back and continue tomorrow or whatever. So you can make a run that's like 8 hours long, and that it's just kind of an underexplored. Yeah, I hesitate to say that every game should do this because again, I don't really love the way that Splunky 2 did it. I think most games would kind of fall short in a similar way if they tried to do it. But like, there is a flavor, right? There is a flavor of how seriously you have to take it. And I kind of wrote about this in my Game of the Year post when Syncopause stole the spotlight in my Game of the Year post recently. Um, I kind of wrote about this a little bit, but like the seriousness of every move, like you there's a lot of aspects to it, right? But like, yeah, you get heavily punished. It's I mean, there are other games that heavily punish you, right? Like the like Bennett Foddy type of games, like you fall all the way down, right? But there's something about fitting that in as the last thing in a game that's not always like that. It's not like that while you're learning, right? It's not like that in the initial learning phase. So you have time to get good at the game before it becomes this brutal punishment thing. And when it's structured like that, which fits naturally into like this roguelike formula, right? When it's structured like that, it doesn't feel to me at least like Bennett Foddy games sometimes do, where it's like frustrating for the sake of it. It feels like, yes, the frustration is a part of it, but you're getting a lot out of that. You're getting a really interesting. It elevates. It somehow brings more out of the strategic thinking, right? It makes it matter more. It almost makes it, Syncopause. When you get deep into a Syncopause run, it's almost like playing poker when you have a lot of money on the line, right? It's almost like, yeah, like the game has to threaten to take away something to really get you to take it seriously. And so it's almost like that. And yeah, I think it would just be interesting to see more games seriously explore like what could be done in how you make a really long game arc that is still interesting and everything and varied and whatever. But I will say one thing that's a bit different about Syncopause versus Slay the Spire is that in Slay the Spire, in Syncopause, you can kind of take breaks in the middle of a run. There's nice stopping points, and there's not that much that transfers between the stopping points. There's like a reasonable amount to hold in your head. Like there's a reasonable amount that you can like remember when you come back the next day to continue your run or whatever. Like you can be like, okay, yeah, I see what I have on this in this run. I remember what was happening in this run. There's like a few basic things that you have to kind of quickly remind yourself before you continue and pick it back up again. And know what you're doing. But in Slay the Spire, like your whole deck is gonna presumably, they're gonna want the whole deck to carry throughout the entire run, right? Because that's kind of the whole point of the game is building up your deck. They wouldn't want to completely reset the deck at some point, but continue the run. So I think taking breaks in the middle of a run maybe is not as good. Maybe it's kind of problematic. It's a design problem at the very least for this type of game. Because you would just forget like what you're working with. You kind of want to play it all in one session because you remember everything naturally that way. Um. Anyway, I don't know if there's going to be anything else super interesting to talk about here. This has just turned into me giving my thoughts on Slay the Spire largely. But no, I guess I've been speculating. Been doing some good speculation. Ultimately, I think this is going to be a pretty safe. Some of those like this just looks cool. Whatever the one was before that just looked cool. Not that one so much. Like yeah, some of these guys just look pretty interesting. Yeah, I'll play it. I'll play it for at least a bit. But 5-minute speedrun? Is that cheated? Or is that like, glitched or what? How's it going, Nina? A single turn can take dozens of minutes and somehow has more gameplay than most games. Yeah, in Syncopause, yeah. Yeah, that's very true. I always think it's funny to highlight this, but when I did the Syncopause quote unquote let's play series on YouTube, the very first move, I mean I'm not playing naturally. I'm like stopping and explaining everything, and just verbalizing my full thought process takes a lot of time. But I will say when I people made fun of that video because I don't make a single move. I get into the game and then I don't make a single move for like at least 30 minutes. Like I think it's like 45 minutes or something. Um but yeah, there's really a lot to think about in that game, which is great. Poker's a game about leverage. Having more money makes it easier to make more money. Yeah, but it's all relative. That's not really what the game is about. That's about if you're trying to make money playing poker, then that's what professional poker is about, maybe. Or that's what swindling people and going to the casino and swindling or going places and swindling people. Maybe that's what that's about. But poker as a game, like it doesn't really matter how much money you have. It's all relative. Um, but yeah, the stuff being on the line is something that I think Syncopause for me captures better. Something from poker, a feeling from poker that Syncopause captures better for me than other stuff. And this is actually very relevant to Cairn, which I want to talk about. Because well, hang on. Was there anything else I wanted to say about this stuff before we Yeah, so okay, so ultimately with Slay the Spire and with Slay the Spire 2 and with Devil Daggers 2, I'm kind of expecting it to be pretty safe. Not do any of this crazy stuff that I might be tempted to speculate about, right? Like especially Slay the Spire 2, like it seems like they've kind of shown what the game is, right? It's kind of the same thing but with co-op and like new stuff. So that's that. If they do have some big twist or like they try to make it a really long run or something like that, like if they try to do something really new and interesting with it, I will be excited. But I'm kind of just expecting that one to be really safe. Devil Daggers 2, I'm a little more unsure about because, this looks the name Devil Daggers 2 and just what little we're seeing here. It seems just like what they would do if they were just trying to do a very safe sequel. But this is Sorath, and they made after they made Devil Daggers, they didn't just make Devil Daggers 2. right? Clearly, there's a tendency, there's an inclination that they have as designers, as developers, to want to do new things, and I mean, even before, Matt Bush, before Devil Daggers, worked on Dust Force, which is a completely different game. Like every game has been really um, removed from the previous game design wise. So and people don't even know about Hyperdemon. People don't even talk about Hyperdemon PvP, which is also, I mean, that one's called Hyperdemon PvP, which would make you think that it's very similar to Hyperdemon, and I mean, it is in terms of the movement, but it's not just the game in PvP mode. It's not just like they put two characters in an arena and now you fight. Like it's very different. It's like, well, let me just pull up some Hyperdemon PvP. Sure. Like, first of all, even in the menu and stuff, there's like, okay, tutorial boring. Well, I mean, but even that, like the tutorial, like there wasn't a tutorial in Hyperdemon or was there? Maybe Hyperdemon did have a tutorial. Devil Daggers definitely. Now I'm doubting that as well, but I'm pretty sure Devil Daggers didn't have a tutorial. Anyway, are we gonna get into actual gameplay here or Hyperdemon? This is regular Hyperdemon, bro. Oh my god, just show me a match. Is there not like actual matches on YouTube? Like this is what I'm saying. People don't. Oh, some Hyperdemon PvP matches. Here we go. But yeah, this game is very far removed design wise. It's doing a ton of new things. It's doing an astounding number of new things for such a simple game. Like the matchmaking. It's like this weird integration of leaderboards and matchmaking and like spectator mode. Like you get into the main lobby and you see, well, you can see right here 6 players in queue, right? And I'm guessing, oh no, this is one of the people playing who's recording this. You can see, I think this is Tef recording this. Yeah. I didn't look at the channel name. But you can see all these other people who are in the lobby right now who are like queued for a match. But when you're not playing your own match, you are watching the top match. You're watching the two top ranked people playing each other. Yo, Lonzo, what's up? Hyperdemon does have a tutorial. That makes sense. It's pretty unintuitive in a lot of ways. But yeah, you're watching like the two top ranked playing each other when you're not playing, and then when it finds a match for you, it like finds a match between you and like someone else who's like lower ranked in the queue. So like, the number 1 and 2 people are playing against each other, and meanwhile the number 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 are also playing against each other. But sometimes, sometimes in between it lets you spectate a little bit, and then you can see like the position on the leaderboard right here. Like you can see he's like 152nd on the leader and on like the overall ranking. That's like his MMR ranking type of thing. Um, so even that, before you even get into a match, it's like really experimental and interesting. But when you get into a match, like there's I mean, yeah, the way the different shot mechanics work is interesting. This red circle, the way the health works is interesting. So like you have this red circle. So you have to hit the person, not just their shield, but actually land a hit against them to make the red circle appear at all. And then from that point, if you hit the red circle directly, no shield hit, they die. So you need at least 2 hits to kill someone, but realistically, it's going to take a lot more than that. And every time you hit someone outside of the red circle on the rest of their big circle thing, it grows the red circle. So the red circle just grows like it's like a pixel, like the radius becomes like a pixel larger every time. Every time you take a hit, but that makes it exponentially easier to actually hit it because the circle overall is many more pixels for each pixel that the radius grows or whatever. So that's a really interesting like new idea that at least I haven't seen that anywhere else before. So that's interesting. And then like the time warp, which I wrote about, like that's just crazy. Like that gets overshadowed by all this other stuff, but it in itself is interesting enough to be like the focus of a full like new experimental game, I think. So anyway, Hyper Demon and Hyper Demon PvP are not just Devil Daggers 2. Like those games are crazy. And yeah, so I'm curious if naming this Devil Daggers 2 is like signaling that they are really gonna rein all that stuff back in and make a safe sequel to Devil Daggers. It's basically just a new spawn set. Maybe they add a training mode or something. Or if they're just, calling it Devil Daggers 2 uh to say, hey, if you like Devil Daggers, you should buy this and maybe make more money. But they're not actually going to rein in the experimentation and they're going to do something crazy. I really hope they're going to do something crazy because I just feel like there's a lot of potential in Devil Daggers, but I think the structure kind of sucks. Like, I really don't like. I mean, with a practice mode, it's a lot better, right? But I just want more variety from run to run. Um, there's very little randomness as far as I can tell in Devil Daggers, which works for it because there's so much going. There's so many enemies on the screen at a time. They're like bumping into each other in crazy, chaotic ways, and like, you know, it's effectively random. after a certain point, like it gets so out of control that you can't just like stay ahead of the spawns and control the situation. Like everything gets to the point where stuff is effectively random, but that's just like in terms of where the enemies are positioned and relative to you at any given time. It's still completely set, the order that the enemies spawn and the time the enemies spawn. And obviously they wanted to try messing with that in Hyper Demon a little bit, with like the enemies spawning at different times depending on how well you're doing, and that I think is an interesting idea, but had its own problems. And so yeah, I just wonder if they want to keep iterating on that, right? And also obviously I'm wanting, well, obviously if you know the type of action games that I like, um I'm wanting something just crazy random. I'm wanting something more like a bro like format. So yeah, I can hope for something like that, but I think realistically they would be alienating a lot of their audience if they did something like that, unless they executed it really, really well. So, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of good faith for Sorath, and they could do something like that, and people would give it a fair shake. I mean, a good number of people gave Hyper Demon a fair shake. Um, so yeah, that's that. I don't think there's any more. Oh yeah, Opus Magnum DLC as well. I think that's like already out. Is that already out? Uh, Available March 17th. Okay. Yeah, I didn't look at this at all either. Dear Metallica. uh a maverick alchemical researcher. I don't. I mean, the story of Opus Magnum was good. I'm actually curious. Oh, I did. Here's something I didn't think about. The writer for the old Zachtronics games, the Zachtronics, the peak Zachtronics era with like Shenzhen IO and Opus Magnum and stuff. When those games had their best writing, the writer from that era actually is not with the studio anymore, as far as I'm aware. He like went and wrote a novel and published it, and um, so I wonder if they got him back for this, because the I don't. I'm sorry to whoever wrote the story for the new Zachtronic. It's not even called Zachtronics anymore. Coincidence is their new studio, but it's basically Zachtronics. Um, but this game, this new not Zachtronics game.
Welcome to Matsuzawa Manufacturing Factory Number 1.
Um, this I thought the story was so boring. I also thought the mechanics were pretty boring. It's actually done better than I thought, but this is not This is not making a profit for them, I don't think, which is, you know, why they're doing this. But yeah, anyway, I'm curious. The writing was I think not very good, so I'm curious if they get the Opus Magnum actual writer back for this. But independent mini campaign, 3 new chapters of puzzles with difficulty similar to the second half of Opus Magnum. The weird thing about Opus Magnum is because there's no space constraint, you know, you can make your solutions as big as you want. I mean, I guess at some point it's going to crash your computer or something. Maybe I guess that's the constraint. But for the most part, like difficulty is like not a thing in Opus Magnum. Is because you can make your solutions as big as you want. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people who are really deep into Opus Magnum, the like 500 hours crazy players, like maybe they have found some tricks and stuff that like, you know, you could design puzzles around those kinds of crazy tricks to like make the game really hard just to make it work at all. But I kind of feel like the mechanics that they would be designing these puzzles around don't really support difficulty very well, which is maybe part of my problem with Opus Magnum. I just don't think that the you know, I think Opus Magnum is a really great like intro to Zachtronics if you're intimidated by stuff like TIS 100 and Space Chem, but I was never crazy about Opus Magnum. I think it's kind of whatever because yeah, it's just a lot simpler. It's just a lot simpler than those games. So when you've played all of those other games, you know, if Opus Magnum came out first, that would have been one thing. But when you've played TIS 100 and stuff, and then you play Opus Magnum, it's kind of like okay, that's fine. Um, oh, it actually says new story cutscenes and music from the original writer and composer. That's good. Yeah, this guy's legit. Shout out this guy. Seriously, this guy is a really good writer and composer actually. Um, so that's yeah, that's really good that he's back. 3 new glyphs is interesting actually. The ability to manipulate metals in heretofore unknown ways. Okay, I might actually play this. I'm gonna yeah. I'll have to at least try it if there's like actually new mechanics. Because the other thing I was gonna say is that they kind of already made a DLC to Opus Magnum. Like they made a expansion like bonus campaign. So one thing that they often do is a bonus campaign, like a month or two after the game comes out. They'll like add new, harder stuff. And they did that for Opus Magnum. They made some like more constrained puzzles, like actually space constrained puzzles. But I was just so sick of the mechanics by that point that I like really just did not care. But you know, now it's been a while since I played the game, so yeah, I should probably try this. However, I was so burnt out on Zachtronics in general from playing all these games so much that I still have not played Last Call BBS. So I should probably do that as well. So yeah, maybe I won't play this anytime soon, but I will actually try it if there's new mechanics. And also a new variant of Sigmar's Garden, so you know, you gotta you gotta play it for the minigame. I'm sure Jonathan Blow will be playing for the minigame. So that's yeah, that's cool. Okay. But yeah, what I was saying about let's get to the Cairn discussion, right? What I was saying about um tell me if the volume's okay, by the way, once it gets into the gameplay. I don't want it to be like that loud. Um yeah, what I was saying about like punishment and you know Foddy likes and Syncopaws, like the run being really long and punishing you and stuff is very relevant to this game, right? Because to some extent it's trying to a large extent actually, because to a large extent this is trying to capture the feeling of actually climbing a rock wall, right? Like it's very obviously doing that. It's very concerned. It's a game that's very concerned with immersion, which man, this early gameplay is gonna bother me to watch. I'm gonna try not to watch it that much. Just leave it on for you guys to watch. Um, yeah. So it's trying to capture that a lot of things about that feeling of like climbing an actual rock wall. Like whatever the step below free soloing is, like, well, it's trying to capture free soloing as well. There's a mode literally called free solo. But whatever a step below that is, where you're, you're putting a piton and using ropes and stuff like that. But you're out there on an actual wall. And part of that experience, a fundamental part of that, like, real life rock climbing experience is you can fall and lose progress, right? Especially like the free solo mode. So let me just talk about my actual experience with this game. I started this on free solo mode. I tried playing free solo mode first because I played Baby Steps and I enjoyed that game a lot. Like I really enjoyed that game, even though this is another case like I was just talking about with Slay the Spire, where I feel like the game isn't totally for me. And yet I enjoyed it a lot anyway. Like I think it's aimed at a little bit more of a I don't want to say casual, because it's a pretty hard game. It's not nearly as brutal as like Getting Over It and stuff, but it's a pretty hard game. But it's like really trying to get a not quite as serious gamer as me into something that's really hard. Like that's kind of what the game is trying to do, I think, or at least that's what I think it succeeds at. But despite that, I really loved the game, and yeah, in the credits to that game, they recommend a bunch of other games, including Cairn, but they specifically recommend Cairn in free solo mode. So even though the game, like, when you boot up Cairn and choose your difficulty for your new file, it explicitly tells you, do not choose this. Like, or it doesn't say it like that. I think it just says, like, the alpinist, whatever mode is recommended for new players. But yeah, if you boot into free solo mode from the beginning, you like don't get the tutorial. You're just completely lost and like falling and dying immediately. So I played that for like 30 minutes, and the kind of janky aspects of the game and the fact that I didn't know the controls, and there's like a lot of controls in the game. It's a pretty complicated set of inputs. I mean, you can experiment and figure it out pretty quickly, but you literally start on a wall. Like, you start on a wall where you can fall to your death in free solo mode. So I was kind of just like not that interested in actually I forgot. Here's what happened in free solo mode. I ended up persevering to get up that first wall, and then I was like experimenting with the running, and the running in this game works really strangely. Like the running like, it's designed so that you can run very briefly and then jump onto the wall, right? So like it's designed to let you cross a small gap and grab onto the wall somewhere. So it's not designed for just like running around like in normal games where you're just like sprinting around to the next place you're trying to get to. You're mostly supposed to like walk. I mean, there's like a fast walk also. You're supposed to mostly like fast walk around. So, but I didn't know that, right? When I started on free solo mode, so I'm like trying to make the running work, right? And there's like a run and jump thing, and like there's the stamina in this game is kind of unintuitive how it works. Like, I'm not saying unintuitive in a bad way, because it's actually nice how the stamina, you're not looking at a simple stamina bar, even though behind the scenes it might be represented by a simple bar. Like when you're climbing a wall, you have to kind of intuit your stamina based on the controller rumble and your character's feet. Different limbs start shaking, and she struggles more to like reach certain ledges, and like that's part of what's good about the game, actually. I'm trying not to look at this footage right now. But when I didn't know anything and I started on free solo mode, and when you fall you die, and I was messing with the running around the first time I got off of a wall and actually onto firm footing, the first thing I did is start sprinting and messing with that. And the stamina, she just like I sprinted until she ran out of stamina, and when she ran out of stamina, I don't know if it's because she was stepping down off of a little ledge at that exact moment or what, but she just falls and tumbles off of a cliff, and I die. So that was the point when I decided I would not be playing on free solo mode, which I think was a good decision. Um, Free solo mode is, in theory, the type of thing that's for me because, ow, in theory, free solo mode is totally for me because I like the sense of danger. I like trying to capture the stakes, right? The stakes aspect. I mean, you can never really capture the stakes of uh, you know, climbing El Capitan or whatever without a rope, but like something about that, capturing one aspect of that at least. Um, and obviously, I've enjoyed that in Syncopause and stuff. So yeah, in theory, it's for me, but the problem is this game doesn't. I want there to be more going on than just that. I don't want the basic movement to be very simple, and so I'm doing this very simple thing for 7 hours very carefully, and then I fall and I've just lost those 7 hours. Like I want I want something like baby steps. Like in baby steps, when you fall, that movement system is so much more complex, and you get so much better at that movement by practicing it for, I played that game for maybe 30 something hours and was still getting better at, you know, at least getting better at niche cases within that movement system. Um, Whereas this, it's just kind of shallow. The movement system is kind of shallow. Um, it works perfectly fine for like a single playthrough on the Alpinist mode. And I'm not saying I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the game or whatever, but yeah, the free solo mode I don't think is a good fit, at least for my taste. Like I think you kind of have to be okay with a lot of like repetition of this basic, like, I guess someone who's defending it would call it a meditative thing of reaching for the next thing. Um yeah, baby steps has a lot of running around as well, which I think is, that's part of the point of that game, and I think it makes sense in that game. But like in this game, yeah, even the toughest challenges in this game become really really doable. I mean, there's infinite challenges in this game, like, because you could just choose to take a really weird route that is obviously not intended in any way, and you can try to make it work. But like, um, the the main all the main routes that the designers probably intended, you can pretty easily get to a point where you can do them all. Um, I would say like in a single playthrough, or maybe in a second playthrough, you can get to that point where you're really comfortable with everything. So yeah, free solo mode is either like a huge grind where you start on free solo mode from the beginning and you just get punished from, like, I mean, I died in this game. Maybe half my deaths in this game were like to janky stuff, like, or just like, stuff that I couldn't have really anticipated, like she runs out of stamina, or I shouldn't have had to anticipate that, right? Like she runs out of stamina from running and tumbles off a cliff. Like there's stuff like that, but then there's also just jank, like, why is she not grabbing this ledge right now? It totally looks like she should. And I don't think that's a skill issue. I don't think there's something I'm missing about the mechanics. I think it's just, the snapping onto your target thing does not does not does not work quite as well as it should. Um, but so let me talk about what I did like about the game, though, because I would recommend this game to some people, and the there is something very good about the gameplay, which is, let's see if I'm gonna do it here. So yeah, you can kind of zoom out here, right? Whenever you're about to climb a wall, you can zoom out and look at the whole rock face, and not just the part that you're about to climb. Like I can kind of see from here. I can see. Oh, I mean, I can't because it's so dark. I'm trying to climb at night right now, which is maybe a bad idea. Can I skip ahead and maybe before I climb this wall, I did it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of did it here. Um, so I'm kind of looking at this wall the normal way, but you can also zoom out, and this is not a great example. Sometimes you can zoom out a lot more because there's not something behind you, and sometimes you're looking at a much bigger wall to climb. But I really like it kind of struck me that not very many games do something like this where you are routing. This is a different kind of routing than you often get in games, right? Like the kind of routing, usually when I talk about routing in games, I'm talking about playing through the game multiple times and like slowly you start to memorize everything, like an arcade game or whatever. You over time you memorize enough that you can kind of say like, okay, I'm gonna always like go this way and then I'm gonna go this way, and that's gonna minimize the risk and everything. Like, you're figuring out over time through repetition the safest route to take through the game. But this is a form of routing that I like a lot more, and is really even though it's called routing, even though I'm calling it routing, it's a totally different thing from that. It's you are looking ahead and you are seeing what you're about to take on, and you're seeing a lot of different options. And crucially, what I think is really interesting about this is you're kind of, when you're doing this, what you're doing is you're really playing the game in your head. You're doing the micro movements in your head. You are thinking, you know, how am I going to do this part? I mean, at least that would be the ideal. In reality, it's a little too obvious sometimes, but I think the ideal version of this kind of mechanic or this kind of loop would have you really having to look closely or scrutinize as best as you can from this perspective, from this below perspective, and compare the different options and be like, okay, well, that's going to be harder in this way, but this is going to be harder in this way, or this one part on this route like looks really hard, but maybe when I get up there, it looks like there might be a spot where I can like put my foot for this one hard part. Like, you're thinking through the entire thing in your head before you actually do it, but you're thinking through it in a slightly more stepped back way. But yeah, it's interesting that you really have to play the game in your head before you actually do it. It kind of reminds me of what I've talked about a lot with Syncopause and with really heavily randomized games in general, where like I was just talking about it with Caramel Action. Like, so much of the gameplay is in your head. So much of the gameplay is thinking about situations that you will never actually see on the screen. A spectator does not know how much is going on in your head, and that's like a really good way to increase what I think of as the gameplay density. Like, when every move you make is taking into account not just what's on the screen, but like 5 possible branching future realities based on RNG, like that's just a lot more dense. It's a lot more dense with strategic thinking than a game that's completely deterministic. Usually. I don't know if that statement totally holds up, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. And this is kind of like that. This is kind of a much more accessible and clear, easily understandable version of that, where you're getting this gameplay density of, when I'm looking at this wall, I am really playing in my head all these different routes, like in parallel, or compare. I'm quickly running through it in my head, at least at a high level, a zoomed out level, and seeing what it feels like. I'm like feeling it out in my head, and then yeah, I just think there's a lot of potential here for this to be done better. But even here, I did like it a lot. But I do think there's potential for like clear distinctions between the zoomed out experience. What you can see zoomed out. Like, if there's details in the wall that matter a lot, that you can't see from this perspective, and you only see when you get up there, right? Like, there's twists, or there's just like random stuff that can happen. There's like a bird's gonna fly in and mess with you or whatever. Like, yeah, I can see a lot of potential for like, making you play it, making you make the best choice from this perspective. But then once you actually get up there, maybe things change and you have to adapt your plans in an interesting way. It just, yeah, that feeling is greatly enhanced in the giant rock wall section. Yeah, the giant rock wall section, like, I think I might have a little bit of the one you're talking about, footage of it. Let's see. Is it, I think this might be too far. This is too far. Maybe it was this one? Yeah, like this part, I'm guessing. I kind of beelined to the hidden thing here, which maybe that's a good segue into another thing I wanted to talk about, which is the exploration. Maybe I didn't beeline. It looks like I'm going I don't know where I'm going right now. But yeah, this one has a lot of different routing options. And oh yeah, also another interesting thing they do with this is you get maps. You know, if you explore, if you do a good job exploring, you get maps that you can then consult. And when you the way that you consult them is really well done. Like, by the way, let me just say, I turned on the settings at some point because I don't like the jankiness of the like snapping to the to target, you know, snapping to the ledges when you put your foot next to a ledge, and because you know it's kind of this is kind of a fundamentally dumb perspective for this game, right? Like to see from behind your character and have to know where exactly where you're putting your hands and feet, like you want to see where you're you want to see what you're doing. Like it's very different from this game feels very different from climbing in actual first person in actual reality because your character's body is blocking most of what you want to see at any given time, or like a large chunk of what you want to see. So I found that frustrating, and I was actually ranting to Misa like, um, they should have made the character like Rayman, right? Like they should have made the character like you know how Rayman has like no arms and legs and like a small torso and like just hands and feet that are hovering out there. Like they should have made this about like a Rayman alien character like climbing so that you could see better. Anyway, I was doing that and then I realized I should probably check the settings. So the next time I booted up the game, I checked the settings and there is in fact a setting to let you see your hands and feet. But it would still be better, right? Like it would still be better if I could see what is behind my character's body right now. Anyway, what I was saying is you get these maps if you explore well, and so then when you zoom out, I don't know why I have it paused right now. um, Sometimes I just get too excited to rant about something and I have to have to pause to calm myself down. uh, yeah, so you get maps and hopefully we'll see it in a second here, but like you can overlay the routes that are like written on the map onto the real world, and you can see like, okay, here is what this person who made the map thought was an easy route or whatever, which is really what the developers thought was an easy route, right? um and oh yeah, so here there's some really small holds, there's some like really hard to see holds here, which kind of relates to what I was saying before. Like it kind of does a little bit of what I was saying before, where like there's stuff once you actually get up on the wall that you wouldn't have been able to see from below. um which I mean, sometimes they're really hard to see even from here, right? Especially if it's dark, which I guess is kind of interesting. I mean, it certainly enhances the game from like an immersion type of perspective. From gameplay wise, I'm not really sure about like the gameplay experience of making me like, like lean into my screen. Like, there's that meme. I was just thinking, I was literally the meme of the guy like squinting at the tiny piece of paper or whatever. I don't know what that's from, but that's literally what I was doing sometimes. Um, anyway, yeah, I thought the map thing was really cool. Thought the kind of routing experience was really cool. That's like a unique thing that you don't really get in a lot of games. I mean, you do kind of get it in baby steps, right? Like not this super concentrated, like I can see a huge wall right now, but like you can see around a lot in baby steps and you can make some interesting choices about your route. And but yeah, often in baby steps, it's also more about like what you can't see. You know, you have to kind of guess. You find yourself guessing like, I forgot here that you have to be like below, or maybe I just didn't know yet. You have to kind of be below to to hook in, and then I was like too scared to climb down, I think, so I like used a baton, or maybe no, I did climb down. Anyway. I forgot about this wind mechanic. This was like never... Oh, I did end up using a baton. That's funny. Like 1 inch away from where I could have just hooked in. The wind was like never an issue for me. I never... Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, in baby steps, the routing piece is really interesting as well. And... Yeah, I guess I've said enough about that. But yeah, the exploration is kind of interesting. It's interesting because it's... For a certain type of game, it's very not interesting. For a certain type of game, it's exactly what you expect from the exploration. But I think it's just been long enough since I played a game like this that it surprised me. The kind of balance between completely linear and open world, right? Like, it seems like every game nowadays just wants to be fully open world. And... yeah, to go back to something that feels a little bit more like, I don't know, the balance that this game strikes feels a lot more like, you know, PS1, PS2, PS3 maybe era, like what most AAA games would have been like in that era. Like, for some reason, the game that's coming to mind is Crash Bandicoot. That's not really a great example of what I'm talking about, but like, you know, in that game, there's branching paths and there's like secrets like a little bit off the path and things that you can do that are not required. But it's not open world. It's not open world by any stretch of the imagination. And similarly, like a dungeon in a Final Fantasy game, like it has a bunch of... I mean, that's kind of a simplistic, stupid example because people have made fun of those designs a lot. But yeah, this game strikes a nice balance for me of... I don't know what I think I'm doing here. This seems really stupid. Yeah. Yeah, a nice balance that I think works for a lot of kinds of games where like you're not overwhelmed by the number of different directions that you could possibly go at any given time. But there is a good amount of stuff to find, and there's nice surprises. Like it feels special in the era of open world slop where everything is copy pasted throughout the entire world. It feels special to play a game where every secret is actually different. Secret is not really the right word because you're meant to find them. They're meant to be found. But yeah, every hidden little interaction, every little hidden cave and thing that you can find is unique and interesting. They don't just copy paste it until it gets super boring. So yeah, I really like that a lot. There's genuinely cool and surprising, neat stuff to find. It feels like an adventure in a certain way that doesn't often work for me in games. I'll say that. What else have I not talked about? Yeah, so in general, back to one more thing that I really didn't like before I get back to the stuff I did like. The early game really was rough for me. Like I did not enjoy this game for the first like hour and a half maybe. I think the onboarding is just pretty terrible. Like, and I'm not just talking about the fact that I tried to play in free solo mode, because you could argue that that's my fault for trusting Bennett Foddy, who obviously has a certain kind of taste, and that's not gonna... I shouldn't expect that to agree with me. But you know, even once you get into the main game, like it doesn't tutorialize things well. Like, there's something about bad tutorials. Bad tutorials are actually worse than nothing. They're not just worse than good tutorials. They're actually worse than nothing to me. Because if you give me no tutorial, I'm just gonna say, okay, well, that just means I have to experiment with everything and figure everything out. But if you start tutorializing and then you fail to tell me things that I needed to know when I needed to know them, then you have like punished me for trusting you, right? Like, and that's what happened with this game. Like certain things, it waits a really long time to tell you. I think it actually has a system in place where like if it only tells you about things if you have proven that you do not know. Like, sir, it starts out telling you, it tells you the absolute basics of the control scheme and what to do very explicitly immediately. And so I thought, okay, so that's what we're doing here. We're doing a thing where you're going to tell me what I need to do. And so I don't have to experiment with everything, and so I'm not going to. I mean, I experimented a little bit still, but yeah.
Patience, please.
But then, yeah, I think it was waiting until I like messed up in a way that shows that I didn't understand something, and then it would tell me that thing that I wish I had understood before I messed up in that way. Like that's just that is itself messed up, man. Like don't do that. I really think that is worse than nothing. It's worse than no tutorial. But yeah, there's I mean you can tell in the lag as well. There's just a lot of slop. There's kind of a lot of slop in this game. Like there's I really like a lot about the game, and I understand why it's like, you know, one of the top rated games of the year so far, and successful and everything. But there's kind of just a coating of slop. There's that sloppy feeling to everything in this game. The programming, a lot about the writing, and the just like, you know, you're trying to step up on a ledge, and like she just won't do it even though she clearly should. Like there's just a lot of jank in all the different parts of the game that was a little rough. But I stuck with it, and I ended up enjoying it a lot. So the story, I'm not crazy about the territory that the story was exploring, or at least I've like seen enough other stories that do it better that I wasn't like that excited by it in this game. It's kind of like a story about obsession, and it's exactly what you expect from, like, you know, a game about risking your life climbing a mountain for no apparent reason, right? Like it's a story about being obsessed with something and having a goal that doesn't make sense to most people, and how that twists people in different ways. And I don't know, I'm not capturing everything about the story, but it's at least in part about that. It's in large part about that. And yeah, I wasn't crazy about it, but I can see how it would work well for some people. And yeah. And there was actually one thing, I can't really talk about it because I don't really want to spoil this, but I will say the very last character that you meet in the game, they do something with him related to what I was just saying about obsession and how it twists people. They do something with that character, and the way that they did it was like really good. I really liked the way that landed, and what it revealed about him, and how and at what moment it revealed that about him, and what that means for you, and all of that stuff like that. Hopefully those who know what I'm talking about, because I don't want to say it specifically, but yeah, the game had its moments story wise, and I like that. At least I like that it is a fitting story for the mechanics and everything. You know, that's more than you can say about most stories in games. But yeah, I think that's mostly it. I think it's a good, you know, one playthrough on the normal difficulty is a pretty good amount of this game. You know, it was a good length for me, because like I said, the gameplay does get old because it's not as deep as something like Baby Steps. The gameplay does get old after a certain point, but I think it was a reasonable length for the one playthrough. And yeah, I would recommend it if it seems up your alley. If you're patient with the kind of janky stuff and everything, I would recommend it to a lot of people. But I would say you should sooner play Baby Steps, because Baby Steps is a really, really good game. And this is kind of like, in a lot of ways, this is Baby Steps, but taking itself really seriously, which is kind of a problem. And I don't know. It kind of feels bad to look at this game, like to talk about this game, and then just say play Baby Steps instead, because it is obviously very different. But I do think, despite the mechanics being pretty different, and despite the tone gap, right? There's a very big gap in tone between this game and Baby Steps. I do think despite all that stuff, there's a large overlap in appeal. Um, the climbing and the falling and the progress and the learning about this kind of simple on paper system that's kind of physicsy a little bit in this game, a lot in Baby Steps. Learning about that kind of stuff and using it to overcome something. Obviously, the climbing thing. Yeah, and I do think Baby Steps is a serious game, right? Like, there's a difference between taking itself seriously, quote unquote, and being serious. Like, Baby Steps is a serious work. It has things to say, and they cared a lot about every piece of that game, that design, like fitting together in a lot of really nice, elegant ways, and everything supporting each other, right? Like, it presents itself as unserious, but it is a serious work of art, and yeah, you should play that game.
Stop um, right now. Stop it! I need to focus.
Okay, I don't think I should show this cutscene, but I'm pretty much done talking anyway. Yeah, that's what's this game called? Cairn. that's Cairn. Pretty good game. But yeah, I guess that'll be it for the stream. I already talked about a bunch of other stuff at the beginning, so I'm not really sure. I keep saying this, but I'm still just not sure what this format is for the stream. But I want to do a weekly stream where we all hang out and talk about games, right? I'm also not sure whether I should be streaming on YouTube or not. Are people watching on YouTube? One person is watching on YouTube, it says. Wait, maybe I need to refresh. 3 people! 3 people are watching on YouTube. Shout out those 3 people. But yeah, I want to here's what I'm thinking right now. I want to have some kind of like weekly, we hang out and do a kind of game club type of vibe, right? Like talk about the new games that we're playing and stuff. But that, I think there's kind of a problem with that, where like you want people to like I want people to tune in regularly, right? But like if I'm talking about a game super in depth about a game with spoilers and everything, like, especially with spoilers, but even if I'm just talking about a game that you haven't played yet, you probably don't want to like tune in for that one. Like, I don't know. I want to figure out a way to make it so that like people actually want to come and hang out all the time, even if I'm talking about something that they haven't played yet, or even don't really care about personally. Which is kind of why I wanted to do like the news thing that I did at the beginning, which I think is good, and I enjoy digging into that a little bit more. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about right now. We'll see what the next stream is, because I don't even know. But I do think I like this more than just only doing reviews. Yeah, I'll probably keep just mixing it up and trying different things and see what feels good. I think for next time, as far as the YouTube thing goes, I'll just try to get the chat on the screen so that we have all the chat in one place, because the YouTube chat not being on the screen right now is just stupid. Sorry, YouTube chatters. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next week. Oh, I will say, I think I'm gonna start using the Discord. So, I mean, should I use the same Discord? I guess I will. The Discord that I had from speedrunning. Let me get a link to that, because I am going to. How do I get the infinite time invite? Here we go. I think I'm gonna like, talk about what I'm playing, so that, like in this Discord, I'm going to talk about what I'm playing. I'm gonna have to make a different channel and stuff probably, but I'll talk about what I'm playing, and that way you can potentially play along and maybe join the discussion a little bit more when it comes time for me to review, talk about it on stream, whatever. So yeah, if you wanna join that, please do. And yeah, see you next week. Bye bye.